Hello, everybody. I'm John.
I'm Greg.
Tonight we have a special dinner for you, a healthy baked salmon croquettes. Now, Greg, when you were growing up, did you have salmon croquettes or salmon patties?
Oh, they were called salmon patties.
Because your mother was from West Virginia. We had salmon patties too, which was pretty much canned salmon, a little bit of breadcrumbs, an egg, fried in Crisco, and then we smothered it with ketchup to make it tolerable. I don't think we ever tasted the salmon. So tonight we're going to do a healthier version, a baked salmon croquette. So don't worry about seeing what we all have listed out here. We'll talk about it as we go through them. We'll also list ingredients for you, and hopefully you can follow along and enjoy. So the first thing we're going to do, I think Greg's got some whisking of some dry ingredients. What do you got there, Greg?
I've got 1 cup of breadcrumbs. You can use panko crumbs or just regular breadcrumbs. And then I believe it's a 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese.
And you're just going to whisk those together.
Just gonna stir them up and whisk them up together.
Now, a few days ago, we did tuna fish, and I extolled upon you the virtues of making sure you drain the tuna fish properly. And we're going to do the same thing with salmon in a very. So we have a pound of salmon from a can. As you see, I put it into a strainer and I pressed the juices out of it. Now, that's real important in this recipe because we're going to add that juice back to some milk. And Greg, if you'll help me, pour this into our measuring cup, and then we're going to add to that enough milk or fat-free 1/2 and 1/2 to make 1 full cup. And if you'll do that for me, I appreciate it. And we'll set this aside over here. We've got ready for you some finely diced red pepper, some celery, and I'm using shallots, but you can use a yellow onion, would be just fine. We'll put the measurements up on the screen for you. So Greg's going to saute that in 4 tablespoons of butter. Now, the reason we're using a lot of butter here is we are going to create what's known as a roux. Now, a roux, R-O-U-X, is very simple, but a little bit tricky. And here's what I want to tell you about cooking with roux. The roux is a mixture of a starch, most typically used is white flour. You can use cornstarch, and a fat, most typically butter. What you need to know about the roux is the shorter the amount of time that you cook the roux, the floury your finished product is going to taste like. You'll be able to pick up the taste of your white flour or your starch. However, to get rid of that, we can cook it longer, but the longer that you cook a roux, the less it holds together, which is the purpose of a roux, is to bring liquids together with that flour that's been coated in fat to thicken something. So you have to be a little bit diligent in watching the roux. You don't want to cook it more than a minute or so unless your recipe specifically calls for it. So we've got that cooking. We're going to cook the vegetables just until they're softened. Okay, we're back. Let's see how those vegetables are doing, right? Can you bring that over here and show everybody? I want you to see, and I hope you can see into the pan. We have quite a lot of butter left here. More than what you would typically have when cooking vegetables. But the reason for that is, once again, we're going to create that roux with the flour. So Greg, I think you have some flour there. If you want to go ahead and whisk that in, I'll take the spoon from you. And then we'll put that back on heat and let it cook for a while. Very good. And you can go ahead and you'll see this in a lot of recipes too. You can create your roux right along with the vegetables in there. You'll see that typically whenever making a sauce or a gravy. You'll then add your liquid, strain out the vegetables, but in this case we're actually going to keep the vegetables. We're going to cook that exactly 1 minute. Let's show everybody what we have here. And this is what your vegetables are going to look like with the roux. Now you'll notice the butter hasn't browned or burnt. We've used up all the butter, flour's mixed around the vegetables. Now put that back on the heat, and we're going to slowly add in our liquid from the salmon that we strained off with the milk. And you want to do this a little bit at a time. You can hear that sizzle when it hits the pan. This is so we don't break down our roux. We don't create extra lumps. That looks really good. There you go. Now we're going to let that cook for just another. Okay, look what we've got here. We've got really thick sauce here with our vegetables. Now the next step would be to go ahead and off of heat. Did we turn the heat off? Who turned the heat off? Will you get warm back there? And add in our salmon that we have flaked. Stir that in really well. We have some lemon juice that we want to pop in there. There we go. That was about a tablespoon. Then we want a teaspoon of sriracha or any hot sauce that you have. Got to get, kind of like ours extra hot.
We like ours a little bit extra hot.
A little bit of dill. And half of our breadcrumbs. Making sure not to be lumpy. Now let me get a bowl for you, Greg, and what we're going to do is we want this to set for a while. And the best place for that is obviously the refrigerator. So go ahead and pop that in here, and then we'll put it in the refrigerator.
Watch out, satyrs.
Our oven heated to 400 degrees, and we brought our salmon out of the refrigerator. It's nice and firmed up a little bit more now. And we're going to show you how to create a few of the actual croquettes. So Greg's going to go ahead and spoon that in. We're using 1/3 of a cup for each one, and we are going to firmly put the salmon inside and make sure it's good and firm and stuck together. And he puts that right into the rest of the breadcrumbs. We're just using a slotted spoon and a fork seems to work best. Just give that one roll over, pull it out, firm it up there, and there you go.
You can make these a little bit smaller if you guys want. I mean, it's up to you, but
Yeah, a 1/4 of a cup would have been plenty. You're going to have to make room for more. And of course, we always do our baking on parchment paper. If you didn't have that, go ahead and give just the slightest spray on your cookie sheet. Okay, the last step we have is to lightly spray the top of each salmon patty with oil. 25 minutes.
about 20.
We're ready to eat. What do you say?
I think so. Everything's all done.
Look, salmon croquettes came out of the oven beautifully. We're serving that with some mayonnaise mixed with some dill, some lemon wedges on the side, sweet potato fries. So much more healthy than the baked potato, which is what we traditionally ate with it. And the only thing that I would pair this with to drink is the wine of the South, iced tea. Thanks you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. What do we say?
Kiss your mama.
Kiss your mama. Bye.
Bye.